being here. I'm going to go over some quick rules that we're going to ask here this evening, and then we're just going to get right into it. First of all, we're going to hear, as you know, from the three candidates for Jacksonville Beach Mayor, Penny Christian, Charlie Latham, and Mitch McHugh. Just a few moments ago, right over here, we had a random drawing to determine the order in which they will speak. Charlie will go first, Penny will go second, and Mitch will go third. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening statement. Then I will ask the first question of Penny, who goes second. So that way we will rotate through as the evening goes on, and no one will have the opportunity to speak first all the time. At the end of the evening, we'll offer each candidate the opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. Our other panelists over here are Kate Godwin, who's a board member for Beaches Watch, and Times Union columnist Drew Dixon. Our timekeeper tonight, as Rob mentioned to you, is Adele Cloutier. Now for the candidates, I want to tell you that if you choose to use some of your time to respond to a particular question that was earlier, you're certainly welcome to do that, but that will take away from the time that you have to answer that particular question, so keep that in mind. For those of you in the audience, and I see a lot of t-shirts of support for people, and that's fine. We're really happy that you're here. But please be aware that if you make a lot of noise, if you cheer, that will take away from the time that your candidate has to answer questions. And we also will let you know that if you interrupt a candidate who you are not supporting, that we will make every effort to make sure that that candidate has an ample opportunity to ask the question. We ask that you all remain very respectful of these people who have chosen to stand up and run for public office. It's a big undertaking. It's something that takes a lot of commitment, and we ask that you do respect it. Some of you are going to be submitting questions on the pieces of paper that we have in the room. They may be the same as the questions that we have already prepared as panelists. During the course of the debate, the folks from the Hospitality Network will be reviewing those questions. If we see something that we think really needs to be asked, they'll be passed up to the panel as appropriate. And our intent, of course, tonight is that you leave a better informed voter. That's what this is all about, is to keep voters informed. So thank you for attending, and with that we will begin with a 2-minute opening statement for Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to take just a minute before we begin to thank the Beaches Hospitality Network, in particular Rob Nicholson, for his efforts to put this together. Also, all of you for being here during Hurricane Debbie. It's an honor to all three of us, I'm sure, and thank you for coming. I'd also like to acknowledge that in the stands here is my wife, Catherine, my mom, Relaine, and my campaign manager, Michael Bruce, who so believed in the vision that he's doing this for free. So thank you to my closest associates here with me today. I moved to Jacksonville Beach in 1967 at the age of 8. I graduated from Fletcher High School in 1977, and I graduated from the University of Florida in 1981. After college, I went into the Navy, and I served on active duty until 1994. I left the Navy a lieutenant commander, command qualified. And I started, after a brief stint in graduate school, started in the environmental industry. And I've been in the environmental industry since 1995. Last year, well actually it was in 2010, during the worst economy in my lifetime, we worked real hard to obtain the largest SBA loan in the state of Florida's history. And we started a recycler on the north side of Jacksonville and created 30 jobs. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the effort that we put in as a group to make that happen. I'm running for mayor to restore the family-friendly environment downtown and to improve our local economy through a renewed public-private support environment. I feel very strongly that the city council has done a good job in a lot of areas, but a few areas have kind of slipped a little bit behind the power curve.
15 seconds.
And it's going to take an effort on behalf it'll take quite an effort to get us back on track. That's all. Thank you.
I'm Penny Christian. My family originally came here in 1953. I've lived here since permanently with my husband, Sam Christian. I've worked here, volunteered here, raised my kids here, played here, and I've been on the council for 2 terms. I am running for mayor. I hadn't planned on running, but I do feel that the city of Jacksonville Beach deserves leadership that knows what it's doing. In terms of my platform, which will be very quick, because I want to get out of here on other things, and I do want to thank the hospitality group here. I'm very conscious of the economy, what we've done to strengthen it previously, what we plan to do to strengthen it. We have reduced crime. We are going to continue to do that. I'm going to keep the city of Jacksonville Beach a great place to live. And I can clarify that later afterwards if you wish, but I want to move on.
My name is Mitch McHugh. I'm a lifelong beach resident. My family's been here longer than I can tell you about. They were instrumental in building a lot of the beach with J.T. McCormick and a lot of those guys. Basically, I'm a 44-year-old single dad. I'm here to run because I want somebody to listen to the people. And that's my whole platform. I'm running because I feel like we're not being listened to. As a taxpayer, as a city employee, and furthermore, just as a person. You know, my specific goals are pretty simple. Just listen to the people. We're the ones out there suffering and having a really hard time. Really hard time. Taxes are going up. They're increasing things here and there. Insurance rates are going up. And I think that by me coming in there and being a direct influence on that, we can change that with the right people behind us. That's what I ask you to support me.
All right, they got us a new battery for this microphone, so hopefully this will last the rest of the program. Penny, I'm going to address this first question then to you. In a couple of weeks, we celebrate the 4th of July. Jacksonville Beach police and city officials have said that last year we were close to losing control of the situation downtown, and so this year the fireworks have been canceled. Beginning with you and then for all of the candidates, do you agree with that decision? And what should Jacksonville Beach do going forward in regards to this and other major events?
Okay, first of all, in regards to the fireworks, yes, I agree that we should not have fireworks. And I'm going to give you an example. A year and a half ago, my husband, who's a physician, was up at Atlantic Beach. He had a patient show up in the hospital. It took us an hour and a half to get there. Sitting on the council, the first responsibility is called health and safety. When our first responders are jeopardized and are unable to get to see who they're supposed to see and a good response time, it is dangerous for everybody in this community. Our police were unable to handle all of the people that came. The bottom line was we certainly had mutual aid from Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach. We had complete and utter gridlock. The beaches did not clear until 5 o'clock in the morning. We cannot have this. In terms of other venues, put your calendar. Blue Angels, I don't know where the rumor is circulating. October the 19th, Blue Angels are coming. I think that was my time.
No, you have 1 more minute. Keep
We're
going.
sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. In terms of venues for the beach, I am very thrilled. I brought a list here if you want to look at it afterwards. We all play in the sandbox, but not all of us have the same interest. We have those people that love the blues. We have the people that love jazz. We have the runners. We have the people with the breast cancer. We have the Donna Hicken 26. If you look at this, you will see that almost every week we have a venue in this beach, and we are very proud of that, and they are held to the perfection. Thank you.
Are you ready? I kind of agree a little bit with Penny, but then again, being a 20-year fireman paramedic, I disagree. I drove Rescue 55 through the middle of all that madness on a 27-run night. It didn't stop us from getting people to the hospital. I'll be honest with you, it may have been delayed by a minute or so, but I physically took people there myself. I kind of find it a slap in the face to the soldiers that protect us and allow us to have this life we call freedom, and to basically do away with the birthday of America. I mean, what more are we going to do? We take church out of schools, take a birthday of America away. What more does it take? If you want to bring back the family environment, let's do that. Have the 4th of July. Let's talk to the people. Give the people a voice to be heard. And with that being said, I don't know if any of you have been to a NASCAR event. I've been to one. There happens to be about 1.5 million people coming to a small community in a short period of time. With the proper program of getting people in and out of there, you can do this. It can be achieved. Our police department, I'll agree, is understaffed. Some of these guys here, they know it. I actually rode with them. I actually worked side by side with those guys. And I don't know how they do it. I couldn't carry the gun, I'll be honest. I carried the needle. That's what I did. But I think it can be done with proper planning. Daytona Beach pulls 1.5 million people in and out of that city pretty quick after a NASCAR event with all green lights going west, going green. It's pretty simple. So a little bit of planning, I think we can get it done.
Well, as a 4th-generation combat veteran, I'm kind of particular about 4th of July, and I'd like to see it continue. But I think we need to shift the emphasis to daytime celebration. Maybe bring a Navy band out to the plaza, parades, and cap off with an early round of fireworks. It's unfortunate that, and I certainly support the decision that Chief Thomason made this year, because it sounds like we're not really prepared to handle that kind of crowd again, based off of the experiences we had last year. But it does leave room for some pre-planning, some cooperation, cooperating with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, cooperating with the other police departments, providing a little bit better directional traffic flow planning, and working really hard to provide the true basis of the celebration, which is the celebration of our country. Fireworks should be a little capped at the end of the early evening. It shouldn't be something that takes the crowds into midnight.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here. My first question is about the 35-foot height limit. What is your opinion regarding the 35-foot height limit that was approved by the beach voters in 2004, and would you support changing the height limit? Please explain.
Mitch?
It's just real simple. The voters have spoke. It's over with. That's what we need to listen to as our constituents. That's what you're voted into office for. If we just arbitrarily go and change things for someone's hidden agenda or whatever, that's not right. You're here to represent the voter. They've already spoke. It's a dead issue.
Well, we have a responsibility, as Mitch said, to listen to the voters, but it's not a perpetual limitation. It's not something that's going to last past our grandchildren's birth. It's something that needs to be evaluated on a daily basis. My personal opinion is right now I think it's fine the way it is. But I know the infrastructure was set up for a 55-foot height in the commercial zones, and I believe there's going to come a time where it's worth looking at that again. That doesn't mean that I support it or it's an oligarchy, in my opinion, that it's going to happen, so it's going to happen. It just means that if we decide to look at it again as a board, that it has to go back to the people, back in a referendum, and then let the people decide. But it's a little short-sighted to say that that's just the way it's going to be. We need to look at what the options are and then provide those options to the voters.
I guess in this way I agree with Mr. McHugh. The people of the city at this point in time have spoken for the 35-foot height limit. I think one of the things that came out of that was the visioning process in terms of trying to bring the community back together. And out of that visioning process, which was the vision of the people, it was determined through Gladding Jackson. It was in the paper, everybody could come. We had developers, we had business people, and that was what made us choose the direction that we are going in now. That is why we are having downtown, the redevelopment, the beauty that it is. I want to thank Mr. Dixon for that great article and the wonderful picture that was in the paper. But in terms of living that vision, we still have to complete that vision. And I think that that's where we are in the here and the now, is making sure that we do complete that vision, the vision of the people.
Drew?
My question is for all the candidates, and it's the same question for each. For years now, as Penny just mentioned, and as we heard in the opening, the crush of visitors to the beaches has been well publicized and even sparked the beginning of paid parking in Jacksonville Beach, the first ever for any beaches municipality in Duval County. Yet there still seems to be no let-up of people slamming the beaches, especially Jacksonville Beach between March and September. We're talking about sustainability here, not a holiday event. Some people have said it's time for Duval County to find other shoreline outlets, such as the areas along the St. Johns River. Others have said it's time for Jacksonville Beach to consider expanding paid parking areas to every street end with a public beach access with associated parking. How would you, as mayor, if elected, contend with this ongoing and increasing problem of larger crowds coming to the city?
Well, I've written what I call a vision plan that's on my website, and this is included on it. I believe that the parking needs to be completely revamped. I think that if you are a resident of Jacksonville Beach, you shouldn't have to pay for parking anywhere. I believe also that the parking east of 3rd Street from Ponte Vedra Boulevard all the way down to Seagate Avenue should be restricted to residents. I see a more centralized commercial parking area where the city could purchase and offer a low lease option to put out an RFP to provide parking companies the opportunity to come in and build a good, suitable, state-of-the-art parking center with a trolley system. And the trolleys could deliver the people from the cars to the commerce centers or to the beach accesses. At the same time, the people that were residents of Jacksonville Beach, once they supplied the titles to their Beach's energy people, they get the serialized passes in the mail, they go on their windshield, and they get a couple of gas passes that are serialized. And really, we'd restrict the parking from 3rd Street to the beach to be for residents only. And if they choose to use the parking garage and the trolleys, it doesn't cost anything because they're residents of Jacksonville Beach. I think we can set up low lease options and potentially a tax abatement option to allow these parking centers to make a halfway decent profit while planning for the in and out season tempos and providing us with a safety factor by restricting the streets on the east side of 3rd Street from the people who are banding together now in the free parking areas with the stereos and the 9mm. So I think it's time to take it to the next step. But I'm just one to vote 7.
I agree in the sense that when we started off with paid parking, it was a pilot, and then we expanded it. We got no farther. I would like to see paid parking with kiosks like we see in so many of the other towns that are our size. In terms of a garage or something like that, garages traditionally don't make any money. There was a huge article in the New York Times that was talking about the negativity of that. I think we're going to have to use trolleys, the buses. I think people can find other ways of transportation to come out here, whether it be biking, walkability. We're trying to make it more of a walkability. I think we need to see lots of bikes. I do want to see the kiosk. And I think that parking for our residents, and I should say that when Horn and Grimley did the study, they found out that only like 1% of the people using the parking lots were our residents. So the residents are a small part. I don't think we have to fool with urban passes. I think all you would need would be your driver's license. It's got your picture, your address. You're a resident or you're not. Everybody is coming and doing paid parking. It will also bring income. It also reduces crime, and that's where I stand. Thank you.
I support a golf cart friendly community. A lot of communities are embracing that right now, and I think that we should get some people out on scooters and bicycles as well. Currently, all the bike racks are gone. I don't know what's going on downtown, but I tried riding in and put a bike up against a bike rack. It didn't work. They're gone. So I think we need to, I agree with Charlie. I think that parking meters back in the 70s when I used to go to Sonati's and get a donut or whatever were there, the double-headed parking meters. The bases are still down at 7th Avenue South if you want to see them for yourself. They're cut-off flush pipes, 3-inch pipes. They're there. They were here. We're reinventing the wheel now. I agree with the kiosk. I don't think we need a trolley. Number one, a trolley and my truck can't pass each other on 1st Street right now, period. That's going to cause a major problem. I think that we clearly need to embrace a golf cart friendly community. Councilman Taylor drives a golf cart. Him and I live in the same neighborhood. We rode them all the time, and with that mindset, and a group of us are going to go out and have a nice time out in the town, 4 golf carts and 3 golf carts can park in 1 parking spot. Another thing I think we need to be listening to and addressing here too, the citizens, this is what makes up Jack's Beach. We all are different. But guess what else makes up Jack's Beach? The business owner. If the business owner cannot be, basically turn loose and let operate his business, we're going to have a problem. We've already got Finn McCool's moved on the west side of 3rd Street. Money's tight, man. I don't know where many people are at, but money is really tight. So if you're going to hit people for paid parking, I agree with it. If you're coming over the bridge, you should pay to park. Just as when we all go to the Jaguar games, guess what? You have 2 options. You can pay a parking meter, or you can pay a private parking lot. Guess what? We should give them the same benefit back. I think it's a pretty simple process, It's already been done in the 70s. We're just reinventing the wheel, unfortunately. I do think it will generate some revenue, which we should be able to utilize toward more police officers. I do agree we need more police officers.
All right. I think we'll start with you again on this next question. The current mayor of Jacksonville Beach has told the chair of the St. John's River Ferry Task Force that the ferry is of little importance to the economy of Jacksonville Beach. How do you view the St. John's River Ferry, and what should be the city's role in assuring its ongoing operation, if any?
I think that the ferry is terribly, terribly important to the economy of our community. I have supported that from the very beginning. I went over to Tallahassee. I sat with Janet Atkins when she had the first meeting regarding the ferry. I think it's going to take a lot of hard work. I would like to say that I think we could come up with a nominal amount, but I do think that it's going to take everybody coming to the table, and particularly having the Department of Transportation come to the bat. I was most distressed when I found out that the bicycle path starting in Maine was going to, that goes all the way to the Keys. Wait, what's happening here? There's no way for them to continue their journey. Bicycles aren't allowed on the interstate. And that's just one example. That's tourism. But we've got folks that are going to work as our Navy base expands out here at Mayport. Those folks are going to need to cross back and forth and go over the dry docks. I think the ferry is terribly important, and I think everybody at this beach should pull together. And I'm sorry what Mr. Sharp said, he's the mayor, and I'm speaking for myself.
I think Flynn's completely complacent with the thought process of that. Back when I was a young man, my family used to go to Six Flags over Georgia. And coming back into Florida, there was this big sign that said Buccaneer Trail. There was legislation passed in the 1940s that tried to get people, visitors, coming off of 95 to take the Buccaneer Trail, which the Buccaneer Trail basically took you down through Fernandina, a little quaint village, took you through, I believe it's Nassau Sound, Little Talbot Island, things like that, and allowed you to see A1A and where the early settlers actually came to this place. I can speak intelligently about that. I think we're some of the early settlers, I think. Don't accuse are, just kidding. But actually, and it was utilized, God rest my father. It was utilized to bring people to the ferry. Look it up. I mean, it's pretty simple. And I think what we need to do is we need to all go to Tallahassee and hold the state legislator accountable. Hey, you guys made this. You put it in legislation in the 1940s. And now you're sitting here saying, we don't want it anymore, we can't afford it. You created it, you pay for it. And I think that's the road we ought to take with it.
Well, first off, we're very fortunate to have an amazing city councilman, Bill Culliford, working on our benefit. Bill's put a lot of effort into this and worked really hard in the city, and I believe he's close to announcing a $200,000 honorarium or budget modification from the city to allow another year of operation, to give us a year of work for the state. The key is the state. One of the things that I do bring to the table as a candidate for mayor is for the last 13 years I've been in Tallahassee every session. I have a very good knowledge base of how the system works in Tallahassee, and I also have a lot of friends who are now legislators at the House and at the Senate level. And that's what it's going to take to fix this problem. It's working through the state to absorb it back in the state level.
In the coming years, balancing the city's budget will continue to be an issue due to continued revenue shortfalls and demands to maintain infrastructure and essential services. What, if anything, would you propose be done to reduce the budget and/or increase revenues?
Mitch, start with you.
That's a good question. Times are tough unilaterally for our city and a lot of cities. How can you increase revenue in a really recession? No one really wants to admit it. It's going to be a tough thing to do. I think one of the things I'd like to see happen, and I've heard a lot of people prior to us, kind of address it, is the 1968 consolidation agreement. I'd like to sit down with Alvin Brown and say, hey, a household paying $2,500 a year in taxes, about $1,100 of that goes to the city of Jacksonville. And I'd like to know what each and every cent of that brings back to us. Currently, there's only two things that I can see that we really get from the city of Jacksonville. One is a rescue unit, which is supplied by the Jacksonville Rescue Department, and then the other is the courts. I might be wrong, and I don't know everything, but I sure would like to know if all those dollars aren't accounted for. I want it to give them back to our taxpayers as a tax credit from the center.
As you know, the city of Jacksonville, maybe you don't know, the city of Jacksonville Beach has been...
Okay, this is Charlie's turn.
Sorry.
She's fired up about
Just reset the clock, you got 2 full minutes.
this. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
The interlocal agreement between Jacksonville and the city of Jacksonville Beach is pretty clear. It was signed in 1994, actually by my father when he was mayor of Jacksonville Beach. The services identified, provided by the city are listed there. Not all of them are done, and that's something that we need to continue to discuss with the city of Jacksonville. Balancing the budget is 100%, in my opinion, dependent upon our ability to help our local economy through the businesses. I'm a very, very big proponent of a strong economic development program, providing every method possible for a public-private support for businesses in this rough economy. I think it's important for us to provide everything and anything that makes sense for our local businesses to grow. In the last 3 years, we've lost 20% of the valuation of our personal homes. That's $640 million. of loss. The businesses in the last 8 years we've lost 22% of the commercial tax from property taxes. You know, there's two elements to your tax payment. There's a millage and there's a valuation of your home. If your valuation of your home is dropping, then one of two things is going to happen. We're going to have to do less, or we're going to have to raise the millage rate. Nobody wants to see that happen. So the third option is to make the businesses stronger, let them build the tax base back up, increase our profits through the business, both through property taxes and the sales tax share, and make that the strength of our economy.
Malcolm.
Okay, the budget, the city has been decreasing the budget since the downfall. We've cut, and we've cut, and we've cut. And I'm very proud of that. Last year, we did not increase the millage rate. One of the biggest problems is the pension and the health benefits portion of our budget. And until we can come to grips with that, we are going to continue to have problems, no matter how much business tax we bring in. In terms of the economy, I think with the Downtown Redevelopment Agency, our Planning Commission, we're getting redevelopment dollars. Those are coming in, and I think that that can continue to grow the downtown. In terms of how people feel about our economy, we had 723 new businesses open within the past 2 years, and we had 4,222 businesses renew their licenses. Times may be tough, but we have a tough business environment, and they are working and struggling hard. I think helping, watching them, putting in the infrastructure, having people come is going to be one way that it will work. But the big elephant in the room is pensions and benefits. In terms of dealing with some of those, I think what we're already trying to do is, for the new folks that come in, they're going to have to kind of put the 401k in. We're going to try and ride it out. There are many different legalities that are occurring in Tallahassee in terms of what we possibly can do and cannot. I know that we are meeting with the lawyers in Tallahassee to try and figure out, because this is not something that we want to do, it's something that we have to do.
All right, the next question that we have is for each individual candidate. I'll address each candidate, ask that question specific to their circumstance, and then ask each question for each other candidate, okay? Let's start with Mr. Latham. You are a legacy candidate, Mr. Latham. Your father was once mayor of the city, and in fact, a park not far from here is named after him. Same type of question, what benefit to the city does that provide to you if you win? And twofold question, what drawback might that add to either the perception of the voters or to the city functioning in general?
The legacy aspect?
Either or. What's the positives and the negatives to being a legacy?
Well, the positive certainly is that I love my dad very much, and I'm very proud of what he did for the city. The fact that parking is named after him it's very important to me and my family, because it reminds us every day of the effort he put into the city. The downside to it is I'm always compared to my dad. I was always compared to my dad in the Navy. I was always compared to my dad in business, and I'm sure I'll be compared to my dad here. I'm okay with that. I think that there's a lot of good things coming. There's some hard times coming. My dad was known for his ability to act well under pressure, and I came from the same cloth as my dad. I went through the same training pipeline as my dad, and so I think you'll see a little bit of that as we evolve. I'd like to take just a second and address quickly, because I know I've got a second, and address Ms. Christian's comment about 723 new businesses. There were not 723 new businesses generated in Jacksonville Beach in the last 2 years. There were 723 licenses applied for, but the city of Jacksonville Beach can't confirm or deny whether any of those licenses actually turned into a brick and mortar business, a home business, an ancillary business, or a shadow business. If you go down to the city hall right now and ask them how many businesses are here, they're not going to be able to tell you. We've got a problem, and we're not accounting for our customers. Businesses are customers, and we've got to learn to account for them.
So I guess I'm confused that we don't know how many businesses there are in Jacksonville Beach. There should be a tax base. Anyway, the assumption was that when those people did apply for a license, that indeed they would legitimately go and start a business.
I think Drew's going to
All
have a
right.
specific
Back to
answer.
the nature of the question, the line that we were going on. Ms. Christian, you obviously have experience as a city council member. This question also is twofold. First, explain to us in detail how you think your experience will benefit the city if you are elected. While on the flip side, detail what you or voters might see as a drawback to having someone with government experience continuing in another position running the city.
Okay, Alan, can I start with the back one first?
It's your job.
Okay. In terms of, a lot of people look at this as term limits. I think that for the voters, they're going to have to make the decision of taking the fact that the leadership knows what they're doing. I do perceive that the running for mayor is a different position, particularly since I've had to fill Mr. Sharp's frequent absences from some of his duties. I also think that it's very important, I agree with you, Charlie, in terms of going to Tallahassee and working with the legislators. I think that that's terribly important, and I think that also comes with having the opportunity and the experience to do that. I am concerned in these troubling times, and I feel like I come with 8 years of very good tutelage and working with a very strong council. I think when you look at the positive direction that our city is going in, I really don't necessarily want to see that tampered with, particularly right now in these difficult times. I think most clearly this council has listened to the people and has tried to go in the direction that the people have chosen. And I think that people have spoken very honestly, and that is part of the success that our city is displaying now in these extremely difficult economic times.
And Mr. McHugh, it's been well known that you have extensive experience with public service. You've outlined your connections and associations with firefighters. I think it's fairly well documented that firefighter labor organizations and city management sometimes don't always get along. I think it's safe to say. How can that motivate you in a positive way to serve the city? But on the other hand, and after your critical analysis, how might that serve as a possible drawback, either in the eyes of the voters or yourself?
Well, I'll answer the second part first. Obviously, in the eyes of the voter, they're going to think, oh, he's just supported by the labor unions. He was in one. You know, to back up, I was in all of the negotiations with the city of Jacksonville, Long Beach in my career. I went through several of these guys' negotiation processes and watched them be treated like dirt. They're the core of our city, period. Our employees, whether it's police, fire, and our electric department, you gotta love them. I don't know if you don't, I love them. All of those people are the core of the city. So unions are here, and what are you gonna do with it? You just have to deal with it. It's what they've set in front of us. It is what it is. Now we can become a training ground like we are now. Currently, 2 weeks ago, we lost 3 employees, 2 cops and 2 policemen and 1 fireman. Right, to train one fireman for the year, firewoman, fireman, is $120,000 for the year. And that starts from the easy process of, hey, come and take a test with us, through the physical process, through the training process. The gear that you have to buy each individual fireman and policeman as well has to be tailor-made to those individuals. When we have a high turnover rate, we're just turning over money hand over fist. So to train those 3 individuals is going to cost us around $400,000. If we can slow that training down, maybe we can meet at the negotiation table and make sense with each other. I went to several negotiations, and some of the things that we were actually literally there for was just absolutely absurd. And I think that we need to slow down with the attorney aspect and say, hey, why don't you give us a cost approach this year and let us know, what do you think this union, how much it's going to cost to fight this union this year, from the police perspective, from the fire perspective, and the other employees' perspective. If you ask me to paint your house or work on your house, I'm going to give you a bid, and I'm going to be held to that bid. I think that the labor attorneys have an open checkbook, and I think we need to look at that.
All right, Ms. Christian, we'll come back to you for the beginning of this next question, which I'm going to include something that came to us from the audience as well. The original projected completion date on the project on First Street has long since passed, and it's still not quite finished. The second phase was recently approved and funded by the City Council. What do you think the impact of that First Street renovation will be on businesses, not only on First Street, but through all of Jacksonville Beach? And then from someone in the audience, what would be your opinion on closing First Street to cars? As Mitch mentioned, his truck and a city vehicle can't pass on First Street right now. Only allowing foot traffic, bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, etc.
We tried to get the real CBD part done, and yes, it is past due. In terms of, we can't stop, we're moving on as quickly as we can, I believe. I don't have the paper with me, I think it's August when they are planning on having that. Steve, do you remember?
No, not off the top of my head.
And then we're going to be moving south. I think the core businesses downtown they will make it. I think it's going to be, like I said, I think that's all right. It's going to be an inconvenience. People are going to have to park, they're going to have to walk, but ultimately they can get to the businesses if that's important. It would have been nice if it could have been finished. It isn't. People can still get to the businesses. They're just going to have to go through a detour. We've marked it very clearly on 3rd Street, and hopefully they will be able to follow those directions. In terms of closing down 1st Street and making it a completely pedestrian right-of-way, the way that the study went was that 1st Street was going to be multifunctional. This is from Horn and Brimsley. It will be multiple use. You will have skateboards, and when they did their study and they looked down 1st Street, and everywhere it was like, wow. There were people riding their bikes on the sidewalk, people riding their bikes on the street. There were skateboarders everywhere. The bottom line is going to be shared. This isn't to say that for certain events that it couldn't be closed and to be a completely pedestrian sort of street. But to do that all the time, probably not likely.
Thank you.
Can you read the question again, please?
Sure. The First Street project, the completion date is passed. What do you think is the impact of that project on the businesses, not only on First Street, but through all of Jacksonville Beach? And then the issue of potentially closing it to only pedestrian or human-powered traffic?
I think first and foremost, Penny said she doesn't think the businesses are suffering. I think clearly you made me take a walk. A lot of them are really basically on the edge of closing up. I mean, I've gone down and talked to quite a few of them. And a lot of the bike shops currently with the 4th of July events, I don't know if y'all know this or not, they sell almost all of their bicycles. They say it looks like the place has been ransacked. So with the 4th of July event being canceled, there's another problem with our businesses. Our businesses there again are the core of our city with regards, with also our taxpayers, us. This is where we go, we eat, maybe have a beer, maybe you take your wife, maybe you ride a bike. As far as skateboarding on a paved brick road down there, I don't think that's achievable because I do skateboard and I think you fall. However, it appears to me that it's actually going to be a walking road. It's quite evident that might be something that sneaks in the back door. I don't know. It just looks that way to me. The quality of the workmanship down there is staggering. I went and talked to one of the foremen and I said, "How many men do you have on this job site?" And he said, "I have 40 men. Why?" I said, "Well, wouldn't it be? I'm just dumb. I'm just an old beach guy, salt rock on the brain. Wouldn't it be smart to start maybe with one street and knock it out if you got 40 men? Let's knock it out. Let's make it where it's not so much of a burden for these the bars downtown, because that's pretty much what we have in some of the small businesses. Let's make it so much, because they're already having a hard time as it is, guys. I mean, whether they're working down there or not, they're having a hard time, just like all of us. The majority of us are taking hits on our homes, taking hits on your 401k, you're taking hits everywhere. So, it's a huge impact. And the quality of the workmanship, you'll go to my Facebook page, I'll show you a manhole cover. You're an attorney, you're waiting on the call it happened. There's papers missing completely all the way around one manhole cover. There's no oversight. That's our tax dollars, people. And we just put 7 years ago, you did that place down there, and you're doing it again. I think it's absurd.
I'm going to cover this one quickly because I'm going to backtrack again. It's a question of leadership. Once you set a project and you get a subcontractor, it's like any other business. You hold them accountable, you hold weekly meetings, and you make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. If they don't do that, quite frankly, that's a reflection on the leadership within the city. It's a management issue. It's something that can be tackled. The restriction of the vehicles on First Street, that's one of the things that I propose in my vision and the website. I'm someone that believes, particularly in the peak seasons of the year, keeping that pedestrian only, or these trolleys that drop the customers off at different consumer points and shopping areas would be beneficial. But during the off-season, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to keep that open for pedestrian only. I want to go back to Ms. Christian's comment about the tax rolls and are there not tax rolls in Jacksonville Beach? The answer to that question is no. When I reached out to Harry Royal and asked him to look at the business taxes that came into Jacksonville Beach, and so I could see who our top 100 customers were, he told me that he didn't have that. And I said, well, how do you know who your top customers are in Jacksonville Beach? And he said, we get a lump sum from the taxpayer in Jacksonville. So I made an appointment with Mike Corrigan. I met with him and his staff, and I actually got the tax rolls for Jacksonville Beach from the businesses. And I'm here to tell you, folks, there's some great leadership in this room. I look around here and I see Steve and I see Janelle and Art. It's not their fault, but the system downtown isn't set up to be business friendly. It's not. If you walk down there right now and you ask them, how many businesses do you have on 3rd Street? They're not going to be able to tell you that. It should be readily available. It should be managed. Jacksonville Beach is a $163 million a year corporation, and it needs to be managed like a corporation. And businesses are customers, and they need to be treated like customers. That hasn't happened here in over 10 years.
Okay.
Hi, this question is from the audience. As mayor, how would you plan to address the issues with the understaffed police and fire departments?
Yeah, that's with regards to the police department. I think we can go back to the meters that we've discussed and Charlie discussed as well. There's some revenue that could be generated through there. I think some strong revenue that could help augment with some of the police. The police really are in a bad way, whether we want to admit it or not. Unfortunately, a lot of us are at our house in the evening time and we're in our comfortable bed and everything, and Gene Paul and all his guys and Keith Brown are down there in the middle of the madness. It is madness, and I've got to agree with Charlie. There is some things going on down there that I've been to Iraq as a military contractor. It scares me. I mean, literally. And Charlie, he's been in the military. It does scare me. I think that we need to really, look at better avenues of how we can augment with the police. Now, with regards to the fire department, I think we need to strongly look at what Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach have done. They basically contracted their fire department services out through the city of Jacksonville. I was involved in the process with Atlantic Beach just right before the takeover. Atlantic Beach currently pays $750,000 a year for their EMS service down there. It's my understanding that our budget is around $2.83 million. I might be a little off. But Jacksonville can come in and I believe do a just as good a job. I mean, no disregard to the employees, but they can provide just as good a service, if not better, and we would quit losing the attrition through these people wanting to go to Jacksonville. Now, I don't blame somebody wanting to go to Jacksonville. I was one of those people, To make $10,000 more a year, that's a business decision. If I told everybody in here, tomorrow Facebook's coming out, give me $100, and at the end of the week you might have $10,000, you would do what's right by your family, remove the fire department aspect out of it. And that's what these guys are doing here, and women. They're doing a good job for our citizens. They've worked on a number of my family as well as a number of your family. But I think it's something we need to look at. Atlantic Beach did it, Neptune Beach did it, and we just need to do a cost approach on it and see if it works.
The analogy I like to use is ADT, the house alarm system. If you don't have it in your house and your neighbors are getting robbed, even though it's not in your budget, you're not gonna not do it. You're gonna find a way to get ADT to protect your family. You may not go on vacation that year. You may not eat out at restaurants. You may not go to the movie theater. But by God, you're gonna get ADT. Guess what, folks? We need ADT downtown. And how we pay for it, it's up to us. There are some hard business decisions that need to be made. There are some hard budget cuts that need to take place. You don't need to put GPS units in golf carts when you can fund a police officer downtown. And that's what it's going to take. Until we get the business strong enough to bring the tax base up so that we can naturally grow the force. I did a study of 16 cities in Florida. And I contacted city managers or city clerks in each of the 16 cities with similar demographics to Jacksonville Beach. I compared the lowest paid police officer, median paid, and the highest paid police officer, and the number of police officers in each one of the forces. Jacksonville Beach doesn't rank that poorly. We're a little bit light in the fire department, We're a little bit heavy in the police department, but you know what? It's not enough. We need ADT downtown.
In reference to what you're talking about, the fire department, Mr. McHugh, the fire department did approach us. The city is exploring opportunities with the city of Jacksonville. There are other options, on the table, but we are exploring that very, very carefully and waiting to hear actually from Jacksonville. In terms of our police department, I spoke with the chief today. Essentially, they feel like the department for population, it's approximately 23,000. Our population, our police department is in pretty good shape. The issue is that when we have issues in crowds, we need some help. One of the ways that they plan to do this is with reserves. You don't have to pay benefits. You don't have to pay pensions. Also, from in town, as you know, there were quite a few policemen that were let go. They want to do their job. They're good policemen, and it's kind of a win-win. We can use them as reserves. If you look at the overall numbers, crime has gone down since 2004. It has zigzagged at times, but overall there has been a decrease. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm very proud of our police department. I think they're doing a great job. And there may be some other signs for some reorganization along the way, but ultimately they're doing a good job.
And this is a great turnout tonight. This is for all three candidates, and you've addressed some of the issues with Jacksonville regarding firefighting. Let's move beyond that if we can. I'm looking for an overarching perspective here. The relationship between the city of Jacksonville and the beaches has been tenuous at best sometimes. Though Jacksonville Beach is not part of the current garbage flat between Neptune and Atlantic Beach with Jacksonville, there's still tension among coastal residents, the taxation that they pay to both municipalities. Define what you think the relationship should be between Jacksonville and the beaches. And what should you, as mayor of Jacksonville Beach, if you're elected, what should you do? Lead and develop that relationship? Or is that even part of your repertoire if you're elected?
We definitely need to have a better rapport with all the cities around us. Jacksonville has enormous amounts of money, obviously, within their budget, where we can utilize some of their money to help us prosper as a beach. I think it would be ignorant to have it's a us and them mentality. And I've seen that happen from a fire department perspective a lot of times. That's just the job I did. You really got to say, all right, wait a minute here. We're trying to work together. Jacksonville promotes Jacksonville beaches a lot. When you go down the road, you'll see a sign, maybe, billboard sign that says, welcome to our Jacksonville beaches. All right, well, if they're promoting us, we need to promote them. And I think we need to really work close together because again, times are tough for all of us. And, it just doesn't make sense to have this us and them mentality, or I'm the big fish in a small fish bowl. You got to open the door and say, look, guys, we're having a rough out here at the beach. I know you guys are having a rough downtown. How can we work together to gel together to make things a little more, pliable for all of us to enjoy? I think we just open the door and sit down and have just coffee over. It's pretty simple.
Mr. Lincoln?
I feel a little bit differently than that. I feel pretty strongly that we take care of Jacksonville Beach first. We're one city, but we're three cities actually, but one community. And each city is a sovereign unit. It's its own corporation and has a responsibility to its own citizens. I think we need to hold Jacksonville accountable for the issues in the interlocal agreement that they're a little bit behind the power curve on. If you look at our tax base, 43.8% of your tax dollars go to the school board. 33.8% of your taxes go to the city of Jacksonville. 21% of your taxes go to the city of Jacksonville Beach. We have some demands of Jacksonville, and we expect them to meet those demands. And quite contrary is the same. They've got some things that they expect us to do, and we have to deliver them as well. It's all about doing what we're supposed to do. If Jacksonville Beach is required, if Jacksonville is required to provide animal control services, and they're being paid by our tax dollar, that's something that needs to be discussed and not forgotten. But I feel pretty strongly that we have to have a unified approach as far as the beaches are concerned. Three cities, one community. And back many years ago, some of you remember the Ocean County Initiative. To me, that's what we used to call the Navy and missile on the rail. And if we get to the point where we need to address that again, I'm prepared to address that.
I think in terms of the interlocal agreement for Jacksonville Beach, it was negotiated separately. And I think we did basically a pretty good job. I agree with Mr. Latham in the sense that we need to hold them accountable in terms of, looking very carefully what we're in those negotiations. And I think ultimately, for the point in time, right now, I'm not looking in the future, but this is where we belong.
Okay, the water is kind of rising behind our candidates here, and I think out in the city as well. I looked at my iPhone and I saw a big blob of green and yellow sitting right over the top of it. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll have time for closing statements, and then we'll get you all out of here and backstroking your way home. And Ms. Christian, we'll start with you again on this. And boy, I've got a lot of good questions here, and I don't know which one of these to ask, but I think I'm going to go here. Police officials have said that the beaches communities, and particularly Jacksonville Beach, have become neutral territory for many of the gangs that have formed in Jacksonville. We're kind of Switzerland out here. Given that there are limits on resources for public safety, how can the city best address that issue so that people feel safe in our community at any time?
Okay, I spoke with Chief Thomason today because I wanted to make sure that I had as many facts as I could. And one of the issues that we did discuss were gang bangers. We're working very closely with the JSO task force dealing with gangs. And one of the things that we are doing, first of all, in terms of the crowds that we used to have come, we've seen a decrease in those, so that's a very positive thing. But one of the deterrents that they're doing, and gangbangers cannot tolerate this, is there's certain symbols and signs that the gangbangers wear that the police know are symbols for specific gangs. When that comes, they stop them in the street, they take their picture, they're then profiled downtown. They hate that. They cannot stand that. They feel like they're being watched, and they have certainly seen a decrease in that regard. Gangs are something that we're, trying very hard in our community to deal with, not necessarily the beaches as much as Jacksonville, but on the whole, right now, we are holding our own.
Mr. Kim?
I just recently rode with Keith Brown, and I have to agree, there is some madness going on down there. I don't really know that it's a gangbanger deal or whatever, and I'm not too sure about pulling people over and profiling anybody. I think that's illegal. However, I think the downtown district should be renamed an entertainment district, much like Orlando did Church Street Station. With that being said, a district, you can actually have points where you can come in and you can leave. You can also create rules. Okay, you're coming in with a pit bull, you need to tell us no animals are allowed in this entertainment district, because there's a lot of that going on. Well, I don't have a problem with animals, let me put that out first. But if I have to take my animal, be spayed, neutered, and go do all the shots and everything, so does everybody else, So I think there's some accountability. I think we need to look at that as an entertainment district, and we can control a lot of that madness down there simply by just saying, hey, it's an entertainment district, here's some new rules, here's what we have. The majority of the businesses down there are great businesses, and they're bars and restaurants, let's be honest. And so the past leaders before us have allowed that to occur, so it is what it is. We have to deal with it. I think we look at making a model after Church Street Station, like something in Orlando, and kind of see if we can't make it prosper from there to control some of the madness.
Gangs are a problem. Vagrants are a problem. They're hard things to address. There are those situations where if you're worried about re-election, you might look for the politically correct answer. I'm not looking for re-election. I'm looking to fix the problem. I've got some answers to the hard questions, and a lot of them are on my website, and I encourage you to take a look. We need ADT downtown. We need more police. I've met with Chief Thomason about 6 times, and I've got an appointment in to see Sheriff Rutherford. I believe that for the gang problem, which we do have, and it's a real problem, is to coordinate our efforts with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and repetitively train how to augment our local force with a large section of the on-duty police officers from Zone 4 across the bridge. If we do that and we train it regularly like we do in the military, when tensions get high, you don't think, you react. The 1, 2, and 3 zones across the bridge would augment Zone 4. Zone 4 dumps into Jacksonville Beach, and we've got an overwhelming of police presence. Didn't cost any extra money and no overtime. That's just working with another city, coordinating and training, and making things happen for the safety of our folks. 2 incidents in my personal life. 2 years ago, we had a homeless guy walk in our back door. I wasn't home. My mom and my sister were there, and my sister had the wherewithal to stand up and shove him out the door. First week in April, April, 3 o'clock in the morning, our ADT went off, and I checked the alarm, and it was somebody trying to break into our garage. So I ran downstairs to turn on the light, and a homeless guy ran out of our backyard. We have a problem. We have a problem, and I've got some solutions. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will move to our closing statements, and in keeping in our order, and we're going to go to 1 minute on closing statements, and so we'll begin down at the other end with Mr. McHugh.
I'd like to first of all say thanks to everybody for coming out, taking time away from your family and your kids to be here. You know, it's pretty nasty out, as everybody can see. You know, if you're looking for a politician, don't vote for me. I'm just the guy that you can come talk to, you can call. I'm not going to hide behind an answering machine. You see me in the public, stop and talk to me. That's what I've always done all of my life here. I've lived my whole life here, grew up here. I'm going to die here. I'm going to be buried in the cemetery right there on the corner of Beach and Penman, excuse me. I don't plan on leaving. So my whole goal is to make our beach, it's our beach, to make it the best we can. And we can do it together, collectively. I don't have all the answers, but I have you. And I'll listen to each and every one of you. And all I ask is to give me a chance. And you won't be let down at all.
Like Mitch, I'm not a career politician. I'm a private citizen, and I'm looking to become a public servant. If you look at the organizational chart for the city of Jacksonville Beach, you know who sits at the top of it? You do. The mayor and the city council, they're very much like the board of directors and chairman of the board of a corporation. And George Forbes, our our city manager, is like a CEO. You guys run the show, and you need to hold your city council, whether I'm mayor, Penny's mayor, or Mitch's mayor. You need to hold your city council accountable for meeting the requirements. The mayor is only 1 vote of 7. It's not an oligarchy or dictatorship. We can all sit up here and spew all kinds of great ideas, but our true challenge is to motivate our peers to work in a cohesive effort to do the right thing for our residents of Jacksonville Beach. I've got a lot of years of military command experience. I've got a lot of years of business experience and a lot of years of experience in Tallahassee, and I bring that leadership to Jacksonville Beach. Thank you.
Ms. Christian?
I agree with Mitch in terms of the 8 years that I've been there. People have come and knocked on my doors, they've called me, they've stopped me in Publix, and I think that's part of our wonderful beach community. The other part that we haven't really talked about is, indeed, we want to be responsive to you. But at the same token, we're all in this together, and we need to work as a team. I challenge you to join in with our city to help to learn more about it. One way that you could do that is sitting on the Citizens Police Academy. How many of you have ever done that? It is a wonderful opportunity to see how your police force works, to involve yourself, to ride, to learn how to handle firearms. And also, after that, is an opportunity for you to involve yourself and to help the police department do many, many things that they need done that take up their time. I think also another thing I would like to see more of you involve yourself in Neighborhood Watch, helping your community. I know we have a very strong one on Duval Drive. And thank you all so much for coming and being involved in your city.
All right, and thank each of you. I'd also like to thank Drew Dixon for the Florida Times Union. Kate Godwin from Beaches Rock. And of course, your candidates for mayor, Charlie Latham, Penny Christian, and Ms. McHugh. Thanks for Beaches Hospitality Network for giving me the opportunity to host this forum, and please do be safe getting home.